The concept of fixed fortified defence lines on a country's frontier seems to be a relic of World War I and World War II, but like so many things in the world, the Ukraine war has changed many military assumptions that drove much of military philosophy after the Cold War. The countries of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland are in the process of building a defence line along the Russian and Belorussian border, including the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad. The obvious motivation for the defence lines is due to the Ukraine war and the perceived threat of Russian incursions in the Baltic, and is in support of NATO's forward defence concept, though many of these countries had concerns about Russian aggression prior to the start of the war. The Polish and the Baltic states started on two separate programmes, with Poland building the most expensive defence line called Eastern Shield, and the Baltic states building Baltic Defence Line. The two projects have since worked to coordinate so that Poland will have access to the Baltic states. The concept is to build a network of bunkers, obstacles, distribution trenches and warehouses near the borders. The line would not be manned with anti-tank or personnel mines or barbed wire during peacetime, but would be an option in case of war fears. The cost of the fortifications is estimated to be $3 billion. The programme is in support of the NATO forward defence strategy, and will be most useful in the Baltic states that lack defensive depth for typical layered or mobile defence to counter what would be expected to be an armoured thrust of the Russians. Despite being designated as a NATO programme, the four states are asking the European Union to pay for the defence line construction cost. There are 4 countries that are not in NATO but are in the EU and would be asked to help fund this fortification. The Estonian Defence Minister Hanno Pevkur stated the reason was the defence line would provide security to the EU and would be used to defend the EU border. The question, similar to the European Sky Shield Initiative, ESSI, that is a German-led European air defence system that will most likely receive EU support, is how does a financial and regulatory union, with no powers in defence matters expected to fund a defence barrier that is to support a NATO objective? Is the European Union creeping into defence-related matters that it has no regulations or mandates to support? Is the EU using the Ukraine war to expand its powers with no mandate from its member states? European defence is the primary goal of NATO, as most Europe is part of NATO. The request should not go to the EU, but to NATO partners to help fund a network to defend the NATO frontier. If the EU is being asked to support ESSI or fixed fortifications, it needs to go through the process to receive member approval to operate in the military sphere, and not use the mission creep of the Ukraine war to expand its powers without a vote.